Hey, Sardo, did you know that they accidentally leaked Persona 3's remake on Instagram of all places?
I heard.
Yeah, no, that's the part that's funny to me. It's not that it was leaked, it was leaked on Instagram. Not any other platform, Instagram.
Of all the places.
The Insta. But yes, hello everyone. Welcome to the Skeleton Crew podcast. I'm Stross. That's Sardo. We're your
Boy,
hosts. We're skeletons. We had MILF Manor last time. That was fun.
that was wild. Big props to my good friend Kimmy
Yeah.
for joining us. That
Yes.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we still want to thank Kimmy as our first ever guest. She gets special privileges of being number one. Numero uno. How does it feel to
She
be
she is
numero uno? Kimmy, I hope you're feeling great about it.
she was number one.
And he was number one. There's a SpongeBob for every situation. Probably is.
Oh,
Speaking of episodes we
well,
might talk about one day, we might talk about SpongeBob. Because we are old enough
you
to
know,
remember it premiering.
I I was there.
We
I
were
was there.
I was there at the before times.
It
Any news from you, Sardo, that you might want to talk before we get started with our main topic by any chance?
oh
Fun things happening in any of your circles?
oh nothing much from Sardo Land. Though I am doing a drag performance tomorrow. Very
Oh.
excited. But I say tomorrow. We're recording on Friday. It's you know what? Time's not real, but I'm very excited about it. I'm hoping it goes well. I'm feeling confident. So,
It makes you feel
um,
any better every time I do that and I talk about things I'm doing the next day. I'm like, why am I bothering? By the time this comes out, that has already happened.
y- you know, it's a thing. Just if you're listening to this now, assume that it's gone great because I'm great.
Or assume that it's gone hilarious because chaos.
Yes. What about you, Strauss?
Not much going on around here. Other than dealing with wildfires, not even in my country
Oh.
this time. I'm
Uh.
I'm one of the few people who lives on the East Coast, who's from California, so this is just like, I've been through this before. But
Mhm.
yeah, luckily the air quality ain't so bad out here where I'm at, so that's nice.
Well, I'm glad for that.
We would like to apologize to the city of Canada. You're on fire.
I'm very sorry for that. That is not great.
It's not great, but protect your forest. Green
Yeah,
deals.
it's very important. We only got one planet. Let's try to live on it for as long as possible.
Because we haven't been able to get our butt to Mars. And that's the second time I got to reference Total Recall this week. Hooray!
Oh,
I don't get to usually reference the movie Total Recall starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
oh,
Is that your
Arnold.
favorite Arnold role?
Um, Kindergarten Cop. I've never actually seen it.
I'd be surprised.
I don't know. I thought he was pretty good in Predator.
I mean, that's also a good pick. I've actually been to where that's been filmed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was filmed in Mexico. It's near Puerto Vallarta. I've been there. Like, there's a restaurant there now.
Been to Puerto Vallarta. The word you just said.
Puerto Vallarta.
I'm sorry, I bit my tongue today at work, so if I
Ow.
sound a little more mushmouth than usual, that's why.
That's understandable. I hate when I bite my tongue.
Yeah,
It's never pleasant. It doesn't hurt for very long, but then it swells up like a balloon.
exactly. So if my diction is a little less crisp than it usually is, because it's normally so crisp, that's
Yes,
why.
because we speak as we speak in internet terms, and only 50% of people might even remotely understand.
Yeah.
Our scrungly binguses and our blingle blongies. And we've been
So,
schmeckledorfed. And that's our second reference to SpongeBob in less than 5 minutes. Anyway, let's get on to our main topic, shall we?
So, Stross,
Exciting.
what's on the table for today?
Yeah, today we've decided to talk about something very different from last time. Or is it? Eh, kinda. But we're talking. Now, Sardo, you and I have been around on the internet for about a combined 40 years.
Yeah.
We've seen empires rise and fall, eras and epochs get dismantled by the power of things. We're talking about shipping nonsense and how that's been like for us, I guess, for the past 20 some years.
And I just want to say for our listeners at home, you can't see it, but I am staring off into the middle distance as you speak. Because holy shit, it really has been that long, hasn't it?
Yeah, I go through that every so often when I realize, like, the first time I ever went onto fanfiction.net was like 2001. And it's 2023.
God.
Yeah, I know. I'm not making it any better for either of us.
Stross, I say this kindly as a friend, but shut the fuck up.
I understand the pain.
Oh my god. So, Stross,
Yeah.
what's shipping?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. We should probably explain some terminology. One of our favorite things as educators and librarians, we like to know stupid bullshit that has nothing to do with anything. But shipping as a term is basically when you pair two characters together in a thing you like and want them to mash uglies.
It's the pairing up as Noah did on the Ark. Um,
And you
he
ship it
he
together.
he shipped those animals.
He done shipped them somewhere else.
I mean, he shipped them in both senses because he was taking them to somewhere else as well. So,
And also making
um,
them fuck.
it, yeah,
Did you ever see the movie Noah, by the way?
I can't say I have.
It's a good movie. We should watch it sometime.
Should.
Not for the podcast, just in general. It has some of my favorite shots in cinema.
Huh.
Today in oh right, I have a film degree and I actually have language that I know. Surprise, we can be high-minded.
But see, it's amateur hour 24/7 over here for me.
Well, no, it's only amateur hour until we talk about something like Hey K Story, and then we're like, ah yes, this glass of wine. It's from 1984, and it's very delicious.
Love this camera work. The cinnamon toast crunch.
Anyway, so yeah, shipping has been part of what is known as fandom with an F because that's how the word is spelled.
And I mean, I think fandom's an interesting word for me because I think that it's like it tends to contextually be used in a very specific sense, but it's like if you've enjoyed a thing to any like noticeable degree, you've probably been involved in fandom.
Yeah, generally.
But
And oh, you go.
yeah, no, I'm just thinking that I mean everybody's been involved in fandom and I mean it tends to get applied to very like specific subsets. I see it applied a lot to like the Marvel movies and stuff like that. Back in the day, back before we knew that J.K. Rowling was a horrible person, it was Harry Potter. Harry Potter was, I think, one of my very first fandoms, as it was for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I think the best way, I guess, first we should define what a fandom is exactly in this
Yeah.
context, because
Mhm.
like we're all fans of stuff. Like
Right.
even the most normal motherfucker you know is a fan of something, either a band or a movie or a sports team
Yeah.
or a beer,
But
depending on your alcohol intake.
Oxford Languages Dictionary defines fandom as a noun, the state or condition of being a fan of someone or something. My 17 years of sports fandom.
I thought that was me. I didn't know you like sports. What sport do you like?
I'm
I know. I'm just fucking with you.
I know you are.
Oh wow. But yeah, but
But
we're not talking in that context of the literal definition because that's not the same.
no, it's not. It's fandom here, I think, applies to a very specific type of fan experience.
That is when you collect a bunch of nerds in the room and tell them to start discussing their favorite movie, Star Wars, and they start talking about shit in the most nerdy way possible.
Yes.
And that's what we mean by fandom. We're not talking about, oh, hey, Jim, did you catch the game last night? They sure did want it in that insert regulatory time of play of support you like.
They really kicked ball.
Depending on which sport, that's usually a good or a bad thing. That could be really hyper specific. But what we mean is when you get Sardo and I on a podcast and tell us to start talking about Samurai Warriors for less than 2 hours. It doesn't happen.
Stross, that's not fandom, that's an unreasonable ask.
I mean, that's also true.
But fandom is a lot of things. It's a deep, dark, scary nest of wild emotions and wild disagreements and lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Stross,
yes. What is the question?
What was the primordial birthplace of your start in fandom? Like what website, what place did you really start getting involved in fandom?
Okay, so I might have the more unusual story of the two of us, so I'm okay with starting off.
So you're calling me basic?
No, I'm calling me fucking weird. You got it backwards. I'm saying I'm an insane weirdo who comes from. I'm like the Australia here or the Madagascar, where like I have this weird. Like I still got to this point with like the crocodile, but it went in a weird divergent evolution. Or like, yes, it's a tortoise, but it's got like horns on it.
Right.
Or what's that? What's the fifth reptile called? It's the one with the eye on its head. Oh god, But anyway, point is, I've always been weirdly hands off because I didn't really go to like fan forums or anything like that. So I think what it was, I forget for what exactly it was, but I have a couple ideas. I had finished either reading or watching. You know what? I think I know what it was. It was Cardcaptor Sakura. Of all
good
things.
Shit.
No, good choice. I'm glad because the other one was Rurouni Kenshin, but then I realized, no, it might have also been that too. But I was like, I'd finished reading it. Or in this case, Cardcaptor Sakura was no longer on U.S. television. And I was curious of looking up more content. And somehow, some way, because I just kind of ended up on fanfiction.net.
As you do.
Which is basically, I think, how a lot of people ended up on fanfiction.net back in the day, was by accident. And then, well, I started reading stuff. And I've been poisoned ever since.
First from the beginning.
And this was somewhere in the very early 2000s, because, like, fan content has always existed on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, you and I can, like, we both went on to Newgrounds at one point.
We've all been there. Rest in peace, Flash.
It was an era of all time. But we're not talking about that today. We'll talk about that a different day. We promise. But that's where I ended up. And then that sort of led me to DeviantArt. And then I just watched all these weirdo nerds pettily argue about a show I didn't watch, and I just kept looking at it.
And it's always kind of interesting when you're like not deeply invested in the argument.
Well, it was different because I had friends of mine who were into Naruto. I wasn't.
Hmm.
So, but I watched because like the one thing I like read really deeply into and got horribly burned in different ways for Rurouni Kenshin didn't have that like shipping problem
Hmm.
because everyone just kind of like agreed with like what the author wanted, and now we all want to kill him.
Yeah.
Now everyone wants him dead, which is a very
Hmm.
weird. Not for the usual things, but because he's a horrible human being and he should be in prison.
Yes, he should.
So, but like everyone just kind of like, yeah, no, these are the pairings. We're cool with that. And then you go over looking at like all the other fan bases. You're like, whoa, what's going on over
What
here?
on
Why is it all on fire? I
earth?
am that GIF from Community where Donald Glover comes in, whatever his character's name was. I don't remember. I didn't really watch Community.
I think it was Troy.
Yeah, it's Troy. Yeah, you're right. And Troy comes in with all the pieces and everything's on like absolute chaos. He's like, and that's me.
Yep.
And I kept looking at it like, wow, look at all the chaos.
Uh,
There's a gift for everything.
there
So,
is.
Sardo, what was your introduction?
Um, so there's a story here.
I love
Um,
stories.
and I don't know, Stross, if I have told you this story before, but if I have, I'm gonna tell it again
Well, it definitely wasn't on the
because
podcast, so it's not just
yeah,
for me.
I'm
It's
gonna tell
for
you again because it was really funny.
well, that's
Um,
also good.
so I was about 11 years old, little nerd into Harry Potter as a lot of kids were at the time. Um, and I guess I kind of had a crush on the Sirius Black character. He was like this cool, edgy dude, long hair who rode a motorcycle, and I'm like, fuck yeah. And so, my family gets a computer, and I learn about this thing called fan fiction. It's like people writing stories about stuff that I like. So it's like I'm gonna see if I can find some some of these stories people have written about my favorite character who hasn't had a lot of coverage in the story, and this is so cool. And I look it up, and the first thing I find is like one of those pairing fan sites for Sirius and Lupin,
Uh huh.
and I read this story, and in it one of them drops reference to them having anal sex, and I didn't know what the fuck that was. And for the next 4 years of my life, I thought anal sex was what made sense to me. Two dudes rubbing their butts together until something happened. Like rubbing their butt cheeks
No,
together.
I get what you mean. This is really funny. Oh no.
That's because it's like, well, that doesn't make sense. What and I was trying to piece it together, and it's like, you know what, that makes the most sense. We're gonna go with that. I still don't get it, but okay. And now in hindsight, it's like, oh, I probably shouldn't have been reading that,
Oh
but oh
no.
well.
I'm also equally extremely guilty of reading something I really shouldn't have been reading at that age.
And isn't that the joy of the internet? It's just absolutely no supervision at all.
Oh yeah, like early 2000 internet, like you could just literally be like playing a game on the internet and suddenly there's titty.
Yep,
I think
yep,
the one specifically featuring a certain samurai. I think you know which one I'm talking about.
yes, I do.
Like, oh god, this game's hard. Wow, there's boobs in this game. What?
Hey.
We both things we remember from ye old Newgrounds, which was we should not have been on.
No, no,
not
no.
not, not at the age we were.
A cursed place.
A beautiful
But
cursed place.
so that was I think my first uh experience with fandom to my memory. And then I got really into LiveJournal. Uh I stayed mostly within the Naruto fandom. I was in that bonfire that you walked into like, oh.
Mine was between like several artists, and one of which I still actually follow, which is the funniest part. You remember Gabzilla? She's still around. She still does art.
Godzilla.
Yeah, she's still plugging away at it.
Huh. Super talented.
Yeah, but it's just like I just remember all the weird petty shipping arguments from back
Oh
in the
yeah.
day. I'm just like, I guess that's really what this is about. We're now gonna really dive into the thing, and really talk about the one thing that has persisted in fandom in these circles for ages, and that is people complaining about the characters you think who should kiss.
And I think I might have mentioned this on a previous episode, but the argument of like who to ship with who because XYZ never made a ton of sense to me because I've look at me. I'm a weirdo. I'm weird. I'm not like other people. You see this hat? Only weirdos would wear this. But no,
I'm not
I've always
like
kind of
other
shipped stuff
girls.
as like not the norm. Like my favorite Naruto ship was Orochimaru and Tsunade. And
That
no Jiraiya because Jiraiya was kind of a creep. Honestly, unpopular opinion, but that was just me. But
slightly unpopular opinion. I think everyone agrees he was a pervert. But also, in turn, he was voiced by David Loge.
Yes.
But Orochimaru was voiced by Steve Bloom, and that's a very powerful combo.
It's intense.
Those two going in a dramatic reading off is like, yes, no, more, please.
Please.
No, keep talking. We're enjoying this.
Oh, yeah. But I guess, like, the shipping stuff never really... I saw it, and I kind of enjoyed, like, the drama of it, but it never really affected me.
I mean, I can't really say I'm all that much different, because I just look at it and be like, wow, these people really care very much whether or not Naruto's going to kiss Sakura, Sasuke, or Hinata. And the answer is, Kishimoto picked the right choice, in my opinion. You had three options to where to take this, and Sasuke sucks. As we learn, he's a deadbeat dad. Naruto, you made the right choice. You had two better options, and you picked between your initial crush and the girl who has no pupils.
And also, to be fair, Sasuke was probably never really an option.
Never truly an option, but honestly, you had that as an option, and he's a deadbeat dad, so who cares?
Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah, he sucks. He's Sasuke.
Sasuke.
God, that was, that I'm like, that wasn't what I wanted to sound like, but now it's a different joke entirely.
Who is your favorite Naruto character? It's Sasuke. Wait, no, that's not Sasuke. It's Sasuke. And then the noise.
And then the chin. Da Vinci. We're the presidents of the Da Vinci fan club.
Boros Twins, please sponsor us.
Boros Twins, please come on our podcast. We would honestly absolutely love it.
I would die. I would be so happy.
It's not like my end goal person to be on here, but it's one of my total wants. North American cryptids. I'm sorry, what was that?
Who was your end goal person?
End goal person should be Maki Ito.
Yes.
Because it makes no sense. Yes. We're not a wrestling podcast. We don't speak Japanese. Why would she be on here?
It's just like 5 minutes for swearing at us.
Honestly, that would be awesome.
It would be.
I would be super down.
Me too.
Anyway, speaking of fandom bullshit, we could talk about wrestling for 20 fucking hours and just the bullshit there.
Which do we ship?
That's also a thing. That's a different sense of nonsense. We'll get there, though.
Yeah.
One at a time. But yeah, like, shipping nonsense, when I think about it, is just like... The way it used to be discussed back when we were young was like... Would you say it's more or less toxic? Because it's still toxic either way, but would you say the toxicity is, like, same level, Not as bad, worse, or just strangely
I'm
different?
I'm gonna say it's different for one thing. And for another, I think it's the level at which technology has changed and progressed and the amount of like shit that's more accessible now. Because like, as a teenager getting into dumb shipping arguments, people say and do some dumb shit. But it's like it's way easier, I think, to ruin somebody's life now over dumb shit. And like not to say that people back then wouldn't have ruined each other's lives over dumb shit. Some people did.
Well, I would say for me the big difference is it's how you did it was very different.
Yes.
Because like back then when you and I were like watching these trash fires happen in real time
Mm-hmm.
in like the comment sections in a DeviantArt or a Quizzilla,
Ah, yes. The
I
old
bet you
Quizilla
haven't
arguments.
I bet you haven't heard that name in a while.
Quizilla.
Yeah.
That's a name I haven't heard in years.
Yeah, but like when we used to look at those arguments in the comment sections of things, it was always like weirdly focused on the characters.
Yes.
Like, for example, and this is from my experience, if you were like a lady who could have been a love interest and it was a male pairing situation, you would get people be very violently misogynistic about that one character.
I I do remember, and I think that this was probably some of the very worst shit that came of that time we are reflecting upon. I remember more than a few like fan fictions out there of like people like violently killing Sakura and
Or
just like
or
doing horrible things to her because she
oh
was
yeah.
in the way.
Yeah, no, like the difference was from nowadays, where it's like nowadays is very focused on the person doing the shipping. Like
Yes.
nowadays it's about like if we ship something that was quote unquote problematic, and considering the
Mhm.
two of us, I think we're just inherently problematic people. Just problematic men.
Just problematic men. And I think too, I'll be real, like the thing that has cropped up in today's like modern shipping discussion that I don't maybe understand like the like how this works is the pro ship versus anti ship thing. Because like I don't know, I guess if you asked me, it's like I guess I'd be a quote unquote anti because like I think there's some stuff that it's like that's fucking weird. That's really gross. I don't, you know, generally I think there's some stuff that is just like not great. But it's
Sardo
like
talking about
also
your ship. And those carpets don't match the drape stall. Disgusting.
I don't like it when people ship Thomas and Percy. I think it's problematic. Um
I'm not even
but
sure.
I mean, but I think the thing is that it's like there's there's a lot of shipping stuff out there that it's just like ew, that's weird. And then you go about your business
Well,
as opposed to like, yeah,
I think the difference is between say what we do and what a lot of the internet now does, or at least a segment of the interwebs, is that we're like, I don't like this, and then we don't, and then we walk away, and then we
it's
never
like
look at it again.
gross.
Ew! How dare you make Cosmic Kiryu kiss
Uh, um,
Nugget? No, actually, give more kisses to
Nugget
Nugget.
doesn't even have lips.
Nuggets doesn't have lips. How does Nugget even smooch? But Nugget deserves
How dare
kisses.
you ship Kazuma with the late Shinzo Abe?
Oh, uh,
That is
uh,
problematic. Never mind.
never mind. That one, no, that one definitely, that's a different problem. I was gonna be like, how dare you ship Kazuma Kiryu with the gold statue of Kazuma Kiryu holding a bunch of money?
That's a great ship.
But that's really funny. That's why I didn't say it. Nugget's funny too because it's like, no, Nugget deserves smooches. She's a good chicken.
Yeah, give her a little kiss on the head.
Hmm. Couldn't.
Or maybe don't do that. You'll get salmonella.
Well, no. Well, I don't know. I don't know how it's transferred via chickens. I'm
Well,
not
you
a
probably
sure
shouldn't keep
expert.
chickens.
You probably well, no, this is 1980s chicken, so I'm not sure if it's as bad or worse. I don't know. That's a great question. We don't know. But the point is, like, for us, it's like, ew, I don't like this thing. It's gross and bad. Or I don't like this pairing in general. Well, see ya.
Yeah.
And then we
It's
hop
like,
into our pink Barbie sports car and drive away.
yeah.
Because you know we have that.
But I think there is this subset of like fandom population that it's like, you know, if you like this, you are a disgusting human being, and you should you should be in jail. And it's like,
You should be executed in front of the Emperor.
and it's like there's stuff that it's like, okay, there's a whole discussion to be had about how folks engage with media and media literacy, media, criticism and all that. But it's another to be like, I don't know, violently angry that somebody shipped something weird and gross.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to me, like, and the difference, that's what it's like nowadays. Back then, you'd have, like, weird, violent anger towards characters. Like, I could probably remember, like, the amount of times you would look up a fic and it would make, like, a female character, like, die or be the worst person you ever met,
Mm-hmm.
homophobic.
And that's the thing that I've
Um,
noticed has been kind of a holdover from early aught shipping to now shipping is this, taking a female character who gets in the way of your pairing and going, they can't love her, she's abusive, and then grafting traits onto her that she never actually had. You just don't like that she's in the
The
way.
only character I accept that for is Godric the Grafted. For his
Yeah.
grafting is his thing. As we see,
It
Elden
is
Ring has shown you can graft yourself to other things, like dragons.
I ship Godric the Grafted with grafting.
This is a terrible joke. That's so bad. I love
Yeah,
it.
it's horrible.
It's the worst. But yes,
But
I think to me, when it comes to the toxicity debate, I think it's just different.
it's just different. It's I feel like it's kind of apples and oranges because like it's I'd say just about as toxic as it was. It's just a different kind.
I also think another part of it is that the toxic elements are kind of now off doing their own thing
Mm-hmm.
more so than it used to be. Because, like, back when we were doing this, like, we had a lot more websites to do this on, but we're all kind of met in the same spaces.
Yeah.
And it was just like angrily being in the comments of somebody's fanfic or fan art.
And I mean, too, there were things like there were fan pages, there were like fan websites, and there was like listings, and there was like early aughts really was kind of a heyday for fandom stuff.
God, I forgot about
And
fan pages.
maybe not like quality wise, but definitely quantity wise.
Well, yeah, because for the youngins in the back or in the front, I don't know where do the groundlings go here in our supposed theater of our podcast?
Where they want to sit.
That's fair. Can't argue that. But
Yeah.
it's like back then, you getting just like a bullshit web page up was very quick and easy. And I do mean bullshit because it usually was very sparkly
Oh yeah.
and had Lincoln Park everywhere.
Oh, middies. Do you remember middies?
Yes, I
Stross?
remember middies, and you couldn't always use the full song because it was hard to find, or it was a clip of Bill Clinton telling you he did not sleep with that woman.
So, for the folks who are listening to this who might not have had experiences with middies, I want you to imagine an instrumental version of a song. Maybe it's "Last Resort" by Papa Roach, only it's instrumental and it's played on like the worst honking keyboard you've ever heard in your
I
entire
love you
life.
to pieces. This is
This
my
is my
last
last
resort.
resort. But
Suffocation, no breathing. Oh god. A fun fact. You want to hear a little fun fact about the band Papa Roach while we're on the subject matter?
oh, do tell. I'm always here for Papa Roach fun facts.
This one is a personal one. One of my old babysitters, Bia, like actually knew them.
Oh my God,
Could-
how?
She worked for one of the radio stations around San Francisco, which is where they're from.
Holy shit.
So you know
I
they,
can't believe they're real.
yeah, Papa Roach is real. But yeah, that's a fun
That is
fact.
wild.
But yeah, so like I think the big difference in fandom content was that like a lot of the people engaging in fandom content back then were a lot younger than they are
Yeah,
like
I mean, I do think there was an interesting mix because depending on the fandom you were in, you did get a lot of like women around like, around my age now, like 30s, 40s, and they were like engaging with the content, but it was also kind of fucking weird because they were engaging with it around like actual teenagers doing this dumb shit, and
I mean
I don't get that.
that's still kind of the thing, but the big difference was people didn't tell you how old they were on the internet back then.
It was a surprise.
That's another thing that's changed about all this nonsense is that back when we were younger, you didn't say you were 13 when you were on the internet.
I do have like a distinct memory of like I was in this like Metalocalypse roleplay live journal community. I think I was like 16. Yeah, yes, I know those words just left my mouth.
I hate the fact that I got every single word of that without
none
skipping
of those words
a
are in the
beat.
Bible.
No, they are not. Especially Metalocalypse.
No, but I remember I was in this community and I met this person through that who liked pickles too, and we started like writing together, and we would like write through AOL Instant Messenger. Dating myself immensely here. And eventually, I don't know how it came up in conversation, but like I mentioned something about like school or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, how old are you?" I'm like 16. She's like, "Oh, I'm 35." And I'm like, "Ah."
Yeah, like back that was always that's like the funny thing I've noticed about like youngins on the internet now is that they are very willing and readily to be super honest about how old they are in a way that
Yeah.
like we never did.
No, yeah, no.
Like nowadays we do it, but that's because we're like adults and like why do we care?
It's like, yeah, I'm a million years old.
Like yes, I am in my 30s.
But yeah, so I mean, I will say from like my fandom experience, there was like this, like, it was mostly teenagers, but also like the odd mixing of the occasional like middle-aged woman whose kids were at school that just so happened to like also be into the thing you were into.
Yeah, and those women were usually much nicer than everyone else.
Typically, they were either like the nicest people you've ever met or like the worst people you've ever
Yes.
met.
The one thing I've learned about like middle-aged women with like children in fandom is either they are the absolute angels and they're like you're the one shining light in this sea of dark horror,
Yes.
or they are just the biggest bitch. And you don't want to
Yeah,
be near them. It's like
it's
I've never heard a middle ground story about those people, including now from people my age.
yeah. There's seldom a middle ground there.
But yeah, I just you know, kids, I'm not sure why you're telling us all that you're 13 and like think sex is gross all the time. Why are you talking to me?
But it's like also like adults in fandoms like, hey, 30-year-olds in fandoms, like you probably shouldn't be arguing with kids online.
No, I just argue. I'm like, what I usually say is, you're a child, and then I go away. Leave me
Yeah.
alone. I don't want to argue with someone who was a fetus when I self-actualized as a human being. No, that's
I,
being
I
nice.
just
Some of them aren't even born yet.
I guess I've never been like a big arguing on the internet kind of person in general. Which isn't to say I'm like super enlightened or above it all. I'm afraid of conflict.
Fair.
But I don't know. So Stross, what's been like your weirdest fandom experience?
Oh, that's hard.
I guess where shipping's concerned to narrow it down.
Oh, that's even harder. Because, like, I've always fully admitted that I've had a very hands off experience with the shipping side of things because, I was watching these, like, who I assumed were people older than me, and now I've learned were literally my age or even younger,
Mm-hmm.
like, arguing incessively about who should be paired with who for so long. Like, at one point, I'm like, I rarely got into shipping arguments. I do know my weirdest fandom experience, and it was Wrestle Twitter.
Oh shit.
It was I remember because I was defending a statement by one Dave Meltzer who constantly says weird shit as a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he was saying, and I had heard prior to it making it onto Twitter, the actual statement, like in full. In classic Twitter fashion, people only heard like parts of it and not the whole statement. And
Of
this is
course.
not, and this is one of the rare times where I would probably ever defend the Meltzy on the Twitter. I was just saying, like, he was saying, like, oh, they should call up Bailey now because we know how TV is in America. Like, she's 27. Once she get like passes like 32, they're like her being like the young, youthful one is not gonna cut it into like TV execs because they're stupid and bad. You
Right.
know, stuff that like was misogynistic in nature because you were talking about misogyny
Yeah.
and
And
not
it's like I
not
guess
inherently
maybe
misogynistic and not one of the many misogynistic things said by Dave Meltzer.
mm-hmm.
But like I defended it's like lol I was like man these people not understanding that what he's saying is something that like yeah TV execs are that kind of stupid.
Right.
And then hours later at like 3 a.m. because this was college and of course I was up at 3 a.m.
Uh-huh.
as one is to do when you're in like higher education and suddenly you have or in your early 20s in general
Of course.
or now for some of us as we both side-eyed towards like the side being like yeah I've done that.
Uh,
It was like you're wrong like he started saying I was wrong. I'm like what? And no this was hours later. I mean like I said that statement like 12 hours ago.
damn.
And this went on for like 2 hours of him shifting the goalposts. When I think he started to realize he agreed with what I said, but he started the argument.
Oops.
That's what I assumed happened. Because I was saying that what
You were
Meltzer said was not incorrect, maybe not necessarily 100% true, but like something that could happen.
you were kind of sticking up for the guy, like not something that you would do often, but in this case, you had a reason to kind of stick up for the guy.
Yeah, we were both like sticking up for what he said because it's like, yeah, TV executives are terrible human beings and are evil.
That is my favorite thing on Twitter, though, is like seeing two people agree with each other and then get into like a heated argument over agreeing with each other because they don't understand that they're agreeing.
Yeah, I started realizing he was moving the goalposts, and I'm like, huh. But anyway, what was your weirdest like fandom moment slash shipping argument, if you have one?
Oh, I don't really have a whole lot of weird shipping stuff to recount.
Me neither, because I realized the only people I talk my ships with are like you and other friends, and they just kind of like, yeah, no, I disagree if they don't care for it.
It's like I think we've kind of found like the the way to true peace in the fandom space is just to find like a handful of people who can either like agree with you or like respectfully disagree with you and like leave it at that.
Yeah, it's like now you and I ship a lot of the same things together because, well, that's how we ended up being friends in the first place.
You know, shipping kind of created our friendship, and I think that's beautiful.
Kinda, sorta, in a weird way. We're not going to say where or how or why because we have some amount of tact.
That's between us and the good Lord Jesus Christ.
And everyone else who knows where we were. Which,
Yep.
if they were already there too, then it's like, yeah, you're being dragged down with us.
Hi to everybody who knows what that's about.
If you know what website we were on, then like, hey, you understand why we're not saying names,
Yes.
at least publicly.
Mm-hmm. But
Maybe
yeah,
publicly though.
we've always kind of like, I don't know, agreed on a lot of the same stuff. And even if we don't agree, then it's really not a big deal.
I think also like our disagreements are on stuff like we're rarely also attached to as well.
Yeah.
Or like you give me a Yakuza pairing and I don't really do any Yakuza shipping.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I dislike the series, as you know. It's more of I just don't really ship anyone in that.
It's not really your thing.
It's not really my thing. Do I think they should all fight each other? Absolutely.
Yes, and I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that.
Their love language is violence.
It is. I will say,
Yay.
my very strong opinion about Yakuza is that
give it.
Majima and Saejima are they belong together. Listen, I know that Kiryu and Majima is like a big thing, and I get it. I really do. It's not like there's no basis for it. But you're wrong.
Well, I just feel like Kiryu is just so like unsexual.
I feel like Kiryu is definitely ace.
I mean,
That's my personal headcanon for him.
I mean, didn't the developers say that basically he's never had sex?
I mean, they've implied it, and like,
Which is incredible. Not because of any one thing, but because he is really hot.
It's true. He's very hot. He's
a
very attractive.
He's a very attractive older man, and you're trying to tell this fan base, hey, he's never had sex before, and all of them are like, I believe you because of the writing, but also that feels impossible. Have you seen him?
He's gorgeous. He's like the most beautiful man alive.
And
also,
he has a lovely voice that could just like read a phone book at you.
And big celebration for the announcement of the new Yakuza game.
The man who erased his name.
Which is a badass name. That's very cool.
Secret Agent Kiryu with Spider-Man abilities.
So happy announcement to like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. Thank you very much. But that's my strong opinion is that I think Majima and Saejima have like a lot more history and a lot more going on. So
he gave him a Kirby. He gave him a Kirby.
Gave him a Kirby. They're in love.
That's my favorite version of that video. I know it's like a melon, I believe, is the original thing he gave. I don't remember what the original is. It's been too long.
It was a watermelon.
Yeah, it was like a watermelon, and instead it's photoshopped Kirby into it. And I'm like, yes, actually, I would love to receive a Kirby from you, Majima.
Yes. And the love was real, because Saejima loved Majima, even though Majima was the ugliest 20-year-old I have ever seen in my life.
It's weird, because like him at 24 years old, hot.
24 after being like tortured and starved for a year.
And having an eye pulled out of his skull. Much more attractive than him at 20. It's really weird.
Somehow it works anyway.
Don't ask questions.
But I guess that's the long way of saying that it's like I guess I'm not super invested in like fandom stuff. I mean, I have my things I enjoy, and because a lot of other people don't enjoy the same things that I do. I think my maybe my biggest fandom win lately was so with Dynasty Warriors. One of my friends and I started shipping Gong and Guojia as a joke because they both hate each other. And
The
and
classic.
it's so fun to see these two intelligent men just become miserable toddlers in each other's presence.
No, I have one, and it's so I have my issues with the rival shipping, sort of as like a
Hmm.
concept, because it's just like
Right.
you get like two guys who hate each other, and it's like, oh, they should kiss. I'm like, maybe hate sex, but not like a dating relationship. They would kill each other.
Not like a sustainable relationship.
No, no like cottage core version of this, my friends.
No.
But because it's like because you have very different types of rivalries. You have your Ryus and Kens.
Yes.
Friends to the day they die, fight each other for self-improvement. Not very heavily shipped, actually, which is the funny part.
Which
Versus
is
the
it's
much more antagonistic version, which is Kyo and Iori from King of Fighters, which is the most popular ship.
yes.
And they hate each other immensely.
And I think it's beautiful.
But then you have the real gay one, which is from Tekken. I don't know what Lily and Oscar are on, but it is gay. It is
Yeah, it's like what's gayer? Like a straight up normal lesbian couple or whatever the hell those two have going on?
Do you know whatever the hell those two have going on? Because it got more weird.
I don't know, but
I
I'm a little afraid.
Okay, so apparently Lily bought Oscar's house and dojo and stuffed it full of roses at one point, and I'm starting to feel like there's not a heterosexual explanation for this.
Wow.
Like, I know it's supposed to be antagonistic, but like, that's kind of gay.
Okay, but it's like something can be antagonistic, but also like super fucking homosexual.
And this is super fucking homosexual. And then I started to realize that I also ship Karin and Sakura from Street Fighter. And I'm like,
Yes.
I looked down in my hands and I saw two nickels. And it's weird that it happened twice.
This is just like oh my god, this is the woman version of it's a Russian taunt.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Only she's from Monaco.
It's a
That's how close.
Monacan taunt.
It's a Monaco taunt. It's very French. I stuffed your house full of roses so you can love me. Love you? I mean, fight me. Okay.
Same thing.
Same thing, really. No, it's not.
But I think there's like so much joy in shipping this dumb little ship purely on a joke and then like hearing like three other people in the fandom clapping enthusiastically and realizing they also shipped it.
At the very back of the theater. So like they care.
And it's like, good, I can draw these two idiots together in like any context and I y'all will approve. I am so happy. But it's like I'm not like a big rival shipping person. I mean, again, Naruto and Sasuke totally missed me. But I do think there is a beauty in like people who just become their worst selves around each other in
Oh
like
yeah.
kind of a gay way.
In the gayest way possible. But yeah, like I haven't gotten into a lot of fandom arguments over the years because I every time I ever got into one, it was just the worst.
Hmm.
Because it's like I'm arguing with some random person of whether or not these characters should do a thing or it's like something. It's never was over anything worth arguing over, in my opinion.
Yeah, it just it always felt like a losing battle for all parties.
I feel like that says something. It's just a losing
Yeah.
battle, and we all have lost. We've lost. We've lost the light of Jesus, Vishnu, um, maybe Thor. No,
Ganesh.
no. Definitely No, not Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh would absolutely love a petty, stupid argument.
Yeah.
Gilgamesh would
But
be like, no, argue harder.
the only winning move is not to play.
I love war games.
I'm Stross, I'm really pissed off. You said Gilgamesh, and because we're talking about shit that happened in the early aughts, unprecedented in my brain, Girugamesh.
Oh
You
god.
remember Girugamesh?
Yeah, no, for those who don't know, we're mentioning, of all things, Fate Stay Anything, which, as far as I know, is a series we both don't like.
I was talking about the Sakura-con.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's the Sakura-con video with the one like goth guy goes Gilgamesh.
No, he says Girugamesh, Strauss. Get it right.
Okay, it's been a while since I've seen it, admittedly.
Strauss, you baka gaijin.
It's not wrong though.
But yeah, Gilgamesh from Fate, Stay, Fate, Grand Order, Fate, what have you. Yeah, he's a different guy. He's a blonde guy.
Very boring. I prefer I only prefer the original Gilgamesh.
Yes.
I want large Sumerian weirdo.
Yes. We love a large Sumerian weirdo.
King of Urk. Or is it Ur? Or is that the same thing?
Basically the same thing.
I don't know. Anyway, point is that fandom nonsense from the 2000s was very much watching people argue incessantly on the internet about really stupid bullshit, being weirdly misogynistic towards female characters. A lot of the times, that was a big part of it.
Yeah. And like, I don't know if like there's any sort of I don't really feel especially nostalgic for this period of time because it's like so much of that was just kind of horrible.
I don't either, weirdly enough. Like, I kind of miss, like, the aspect of going onto the internet and just finding random shit for stuff you liked. Like, instead of having to, like, purposely seek it out in the same way you do now.
Right.
No, I miss the days where there was no algorithms involved.
Yeah, I miss no algorithms.
I miss no machine learning or AI nonsense. Or
I miss the internet not being like this carefully scripted, highly mechanized, catered for your enjoyment kind of thing that it's become. And maybe I'm just saying that because it felt different back in my day, but
I mean, it was because there wasn't like 4 websites and half of them didn't, and the ones that did exist didn't have algorithms.
mm-hmm.
I mean, I would say back in my day is wrong, but in this case, actually back in our day, quite literally, if you went onto the internet, everything was just chronologically ordered. Yeah. Which is why AO3 is still the only good website left on the internet.
Oh, AO3.
For all of your problems, you have no ads, and if I want to find something, I just have to click backwards enough until I find it.
It's like, yeah, you got some shit going on, but you've also got some stuff that you're doing okay.
Unless someone deleted it, which sometimes happens. That's a different problem. That's a different issue.
Entirely different.
And if someone wants to delete their work off the internet, off of your site, then that's their prerogative. Even if I don't necessarily like that idea. Live in your shame, like I do.
Deal with it.
Deal with it. You gotta deal with it. You can never. Go ahead.
That's our profound wisdom from the top of the mountain on shipping and fandom culture and what it was like when we were young. Remember being young, Stross?
Yeah, I miss having knees that work properly.
Yeah, you and me both.
I horribly damaged them both. In the war.
The skeleton war?
That's another story.
Strauss, we haven't been drafted for that yet.
I don't know. I filled out a draft card. What are you talking about? I filled out that draft card 12 years ago. You didn't get a draft card. Don't fucking lie to me. That's not a joke. I do have a draft card. I
Ooh.
Yeah, no, that's the thing I had to sign when I was 18.
Oh. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you thought that was a joke. No, I meant it.
I did think it was a joke.
No, it
Yeah.
wasn't.
Ooh.
When I turned 18, I got sent in the mail a draft card from the U.S. military, and if I didn't fully sign it, it would have been a problem, legally
Fucking
speaking.
yikes.
Yeah, and my other friend, because I was slightly older than the rest of my class, who was also like that, was my friend Ben,
Mm-hmm.
and he got his a bit later because I'm like a couple months older than he is.
Right.
So it's just like, yeah. And we were talking about it. I was like, yeah, I had to fill out my draft card. I'm like, yeah, I know, it's weird, right? He's like, yeah.
Jeez.
Things that you thought were a joke until you realize I very much meant I signed out a governmental form. They would reject me on the spot.
Mm.
Mostly for the flat feet, actually.
Huh.
Weird fun facts. Did you see it coming? No. Is it true? Surprisingly enough, yes. But anyway.
I wouldn't have guessed that, but all right.
See, this is how I know you didn't get a draft card, because you're like, wait, that's a thing? I'm like, yes.
It's pretty fucked up.
Yeah. But anyway, is there any other shipping nonsense things you want to talk about? Including nonsense that you just participate in that is nonsense because it's funny?
Stross, you want to talk about real person shipping since I did mention that
Oh,
earlier.
yeah, we did. We should probably talk about the very weird state of real person fanfic.
That's a thing.
Yeah,
It's a thing that like a lot of people are like weirdly really chill with.
Yeah, I'm gonna state my opinion. Then you could say either yes, you fully agree, or
Right.
no, you don't. I always found it very strange. Because it's like, this is a person who exists. Now, obviously, they don't read this shit 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Unless they're like an internet personality, where in that case, they think it's hilarious. Sometimes they think it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, for me, it's just like, it's very odd to go into it and be like, yes, here's a fanfic of Markiplier and, I don't know, insert internet personality here.
One of those other video game dudes.
Take your pick. I don't care.
But
I know many more of them, but I don't. You know what? Let's do Gerard the Completionist. Let's add a nice beard into this.
An esoteric ship, a little bit out there.
Yeah, let's get weird.
Real weird. All right. But I mean, my take on it. Far be it from me to, tell somebody, you can't do that. That's weird. It's like, if you want to write your like stories about your favorite video game dude and you want to write them in your journal and you want to keep those because it makes you happy, that's your business, and I'm not gonna, criticize that. But it's like, I just remember when Supernatural was a big thing, Stross.
I remember the Super Hulock days.
You remember Super Hulock? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
I sadly also remember.
Yeah, I wish I didn't remember.
Someone who's into none of those things.
I distinctly remember this period of time where people would write fan fiction about Jensen Ackles, which is a name, and Misha Collins,
which is also a name.
That's also a name. And they would write this stuff, which, okay, and then they would like take it to fan meetups and show it to the actors they'd written about, which, okay.
Those two men deserved all the awards for not being like way more weird about it, as weird as they could have been.
I can think of like there are a few like fandom like popular people that if I ever got the chance to meet Robin Atkins Downs, I would be so happy. I would be so happy, and I would probably want his autograph. But it's like, I can't imagine writing a fan fiction about him and the guy who voices Heavy and then like, here you go, read this. What do you think?
I feel like it's different when it's their characters versus them as
No, it's writing about the dudes. It's writing
yeah.
about the dudes themselves. They're the
Okay,
real
so
people.
I'm gonna ask you a very interesting side question to this. It connects to it,
Yeah.
but it's a very interesting sort of weird other like weird offshot. How do you deal with this for wrestling content?
Um.
Because that one's like halfway that's like half in the door of being the real person and half in the door of being like because like the Undertaker's not a zombie wizard. He's a guy named Mark Calloway who lives in Texas.
You don't know he's not a zombie wizard.
No, I know he's
Zombie
not.
wizards can be named Mark.
Well, I mean, this one case is named Mark, but I know for a fact that Mark Calloway's not a zombie wizard.
You don't know that.
And I hate to say it, Sardo. I remember the real American badass portion of his career.
That was a ruse. It was a clever ruse, Stross, to hide his real identity.
I prefer the zombie wizard versus post-retirement Undertaker. Okay.
But I mean, I get what you mean though. That it's like there's the kayfabe there. There's like the playing a character.
Like I find like the wrestling fanfic side of it is like so complicated because it's like this weird like gray area. And as we know about gray zones from Yakuza 7,
Yes,
good people live there.
they do.
And that's a weird
It still feels.
that's a very deeply political statement. And I'm like, well, in fan fiction terms, it's wrestling.
It still feels weird. It feels really weird. I mean, and that's just my personal opinion. I don't love it. I don't want to read about Stone Cold Steve Austin getting railed. I don't like that idea.
Yeah, but what if I
maybe that's
wrote
somebody
about
else's thing.
El Santo pile driving El Chupacabra?
See, that's the kind of fan fiction I can get behind.
If someone write that, if it doesn't already exist. Mexico's greatest hero deserves to fight its greatest cryptid.
Yes, this is all true. I think he would agree.
I'm
But
surprised it's not a movie.
I don't know. I feel like with wrestlers, it's like they're still real people at the end of the day. I don't know.
That also kind of extends for me for like when it's in live action, it feels a bit weirder for me. Like that's my weird sort of take. Like when it's an anime Blorbo, like who gives a shit? That's a 2D thing that isn't a real person, or like a video game character. That's just a bunch of polygons. Sometimes more than whole other games. Look at you, 2B's butt. You've seen that graph.
Oh, girl, you are so many polygons thick.
No, it's the entirety of Ocarina of Time. Its polygon count could fit entirety in 2B's ass alone.
It's true. Yeah, I've seen
that.
it.
I love that one. It's just like, the skirt goes up and it's do 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 do.
Fucking Yoko Taro, man.
But yeah, like I don't know. For me, when it's like a live action property, it gets a bit weirder. Because I remember how like weird, like because we mentioned Super Hulock, how like weird that got at the end of it. I do remember someone said that the big downfall of Doctor Who's popularity in the United States and on the internet came around when they put Peter Capaldi as the new Doctor. And the Doctor stopped being a hot young guy and started being an old Scottish man.
Because these people are cowards.
They are cowards. Even if I know for a fact that Capaldi's run was just not good. Not his fault. No, I heard the episodes were bad. None of it was Capaldi's fault.
But it's like, a lot of Doctor Who isn't fantastic, but people were willing to ignore it because it was being played by David Tennant or the fucking other dude.
Matt Smith. You're thinking Matt Smith.
Yeah, that guy. That dude.
The one with the much taller head.
Yeah.
David Tennant seems like a cool guy, though. I'd hang out with David Tennant.
No, like no hate to any of the fine men who have played Doctor Who. Also Christopher Eccleston was the best Doctor.
Oh no, one of them was John Hurt at one point in like one of the specials,
Yeah,
and John Hurt is
but
fun. John Hurt was
he is.
Aragorn, but only in the cartoon one.
But I mean, in terms of like a lot of the more mainstream Doctors, I
Yeah,
guess.
recent Doctors, I think is maybe the more accurate term.
Mm-hmm.
Because Classic Who had, of course, Tom Baker and his massive scarf,
Yes,
and we love a
that was
good
good.
scarf. But yeah, no, I agree. It's like when it's like live action stuff, it starts
Mm-hmm.
becoming like for me too. It starts becoming a bit odder. It's why like all the MCU stuff. I'm like, I don't want to imagine my Spider-Man as babyface Tom Holland.
No.
I don't want to imagine it as like Andrew Garfield, the maybe actually best Spider-Man with the worst movies. I feel so bad for him. He was so good
He
as Spider-Man, and the movies are so bad.
he tried his best. He really gave it his all.
He understood that Spider-Man is an annoying idiot when he's
Yes,
fighting
he
people.
did.
Oh no, my one weakness: very small knives. And Tobey Maguire had the best movies,
He did. He really did.
but it's just like it's weird when you say like, "Oh, here's your Spider-Man," and I'm like, "That's a
That's
person."
not that's a man. No spider. That's a man.
Except Spider's
Also,
Man, my favorite Spider-Man. You know,
Stross, do you want to hear? Do you want to hear my great original Spider-Man idea?
go for it.
And I swear to God, if any of you listeners fucking steal this from me, I'll cry. Original Spider-Man, do not steal.
Okay, what is it?
Um, Australian Spider-Man. His name is George Speederman. Um, it's spelled Spider-Man with two N's, but it's pronounced Speederman. Um, he is he was born a tarantula. He was born a little baby tarantula, and then he got into some chaw from a worker at a nuclear power plant, and he got like radioactive powers from stepping in that chew, and he got turned into a man-sized spider. And two loving human parents found him, and they raised him as their own. And now he's a giant spider that dresses like Crocodile Dundee, and he's a very nice young man.
Well, well, you know what? That's almost as good as my favorite one, which is Spider's Man. Do you know Spider's Man?
Like Spider's George.
No. So this is an actual Spider-Man that has been in the comics. It
Mm-hmm.
is a bunch of spiders that think they're Peter Parker,
Oh yeah, I've seen this.
which is great.
Mm-hmm. That is good.
It's just a bunch of spiders formed into the visage of Spider-Man.
That is good.
That's a good one. That's clever.
Yeah.
Spider's Man.
But
Just think,
that was my original
but
Spider-Man.
think about it this way: if Across the Spider-Verse, which I haven't seen yet, but if what everyone's telling me is true, officially speaking, yours is canon. Think
I'm
about
so
that.
happy.
He's real.
He's a real boy.
Paul Spiderman is real.
George Speederman.
Well, maybe his father's name's Paul,
Maybe.
and he has
But also
his Uncle Saul.
and George's Uncle Ben was Uncle Benji was another tarantula, and he
Ah,
got stepped on, and it was very
my
traumatic.
poor Uncle Benji. He didn't even make it.
Got trod on.
Yeah, he got thrown on, mate.
That's not even Australian. I'm doing some kind of UK accent now.
And Bob's young. They're very close together, which is really a shame. And I should not do it because I have actual family from Australia. I know they don't follow my Twitter, so they never see this. But like, there is a non-0% chance that they do.
Apologies to Stross's Australian relative.
Apologies to my family.
Also, hi.
Also, hello. I haven't seen you in a while. Hope you guys are all doing all right.
But yeah, I guess we're getting off into the weeds now.
Yeah.
So, that was shipping.
As
Um,
we remember it, as two
as we
people
remember it,
who are Troy from Community coming back into the chaos. We brought pizza.
we did. We
So
brought
yeah.
several of them.
Anyway, before we go, sorry, you got anything you've been watching recently or reading? Anything fun?
Oh, let's see here. Actually, I started reading. Let's see. I'm gonna run to my book pile real quick. I'll be right back.
All
Running.
right. So Sardo's currently going to the book pile. I have no idea what's in this book pile, but it's a book pile, all right.
Okay,
All right, what is it?
got my books. That was me setting down my books.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I've been reading Clock Striker,
Ooh.
and it's a manga. It's by Isaka Galadima, with
Ooh.
art by Frederick L. Jones. Really, really interesting kind of little bit steampunky, kind of like quasi-futuristic adventure manga. Also has a black protagonist. Really,
Ooh.
really excellent, beautiful art. I'm on volume 1 right now, and the character designs are sick. Like, I'll be real, this a lot of the character work reminds me of like some of the better stuff from Soul Eater.
Ooh.
So that's been good. Uh Finished the Yakuza's Bias, which was great.
Also
Uh
good. Also good.
Started reading Cutie Honey by Go Nagai, which has been interesting.
I bet it's been very horny.
It's extremely horny, and it's really weird to see it in like that art style, which I guess I don't know. Maybe I don't have a lot of experience with Go Nagai's work because it's like I don't associate this art style with like intense horniness.
Yeah,
But
that's one of the things about Go Nagai's work that people don't realize. His big important thing to the manga and anime world was introducing an absurd horny bent to it.
yes, and it's like, oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah,
And
it's my favorite thing where everyone's just like, oh wow. It's everyone first learns when they read like Devilman or any of that stuff. It's like, wow, there's a lot more tits in this than I thought. Which is
yes,
the same experience I had with Inuyasha when I've read the manga for the first time. And then, like, a girl just shows up with her tits out, and you're like, whoa!
shockingly nude.
And that one's by a woman, so it's way more, like, the titty's very nice.
Oh yeah, very well done.
It's just like,
Um,
you're just not prepped for it.
and you want to hear the last thing I'm reading?
Oh, hell
To
yeah.
Stross?
You know I
Um,
do.
so I picked this up because this was available from another library. I am reading the light novel, Do You Love Your Mom and Her Two-Hit Multi-Target Attacks?
Oh, no, what that is. Why do I know what that is?
You know what that is.
I do, and I hate myself.
You do.
I'm gonna go
You
throw
know what
myself
it is.
into. Oh god.
I this is let this be testament to like how much I like and care about my coworkers because when I went to go pick this up from Hold, I'm actually like, hey, so and so, check it out, and I hold it up and I'm like, do you love her? It's um kind of what you'd expect.
Yeah. Well, I instead I recently read the book Uprooted by Naomi Novik. It's
Mhm.
very Polish.
Very nice.
It's about a lady who gets selected by a local wizard for reasons.
That sounds good.
You'd like it actually. You should read it.
Huh. I'll check it out. I've read some of her other stuff and it's been good, so
Yeah. It's a good book.
I will look at you, Mr. Classy.
Don't say that. My book club's now reading Conan, and it was my idea. It's like I'm the cause for us reading Conan the Barbarian.
We're the trashiest book club, aren't we?
If it was us specifically, we absolutely would. We would read nothing but like either incredibly high-minded work or absolute trash and no in-betweens. But anyway,
A little bit of everything.
yeah, a little bit of everything. But yeah, that's what I just read like a week ago.
Very cool.
I've been playing Street Fighter 6, as you know.
I need to get a copy. Stross, what's your review on it so far?
I've only really played the World Tour mode, and I've gotten to be texted by jury, so I'm winning.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
I've been texted by Chung Li. That's been fun. Ryu can't text outside of being like an old person.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
It really doesn't, but it's delightful.
It is so nice.
But yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, very nice.
In the meantime, I guess we should end this podcast episode now.
Probably so.
So,
well,
yeah. Thank you all for listening to us ramble on about the internet for a spell. I don't know, next time we'll probably have something a bit less nebulous and weird. You want to talk about Berserk next week?
ooh, I'd like that.
Yeah, let's talk about Berserk next week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we get to be sad about Berserk next week. That's fun.
All right.
And by fun, I mean we're going to make ourselves really depressed.
Yay.
Yay. Anyway, folks, that's Sardo. You can find him on the Twitters at Autopsy Garlands and Marquis Belial for the art account.
Mm-hmm.
Or Twitch with Uncle Death. You stream Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 6:30 Mountain Time.
Mountain Standard Time.
I'm usually there.
Are there.
Yeah, I'm usually
More
there
often than not.
because I can be, and I'm officially count as part of the show. Apparently, I'm your sidekick.
You're a feature. You are my loyal sidekick.
I'm the Max. No wait, is that one? Oh God. No, yeah, no. You're this. I'm the Max to your Sam.
That's true. It's very true. I like that I'm Sam.
You get to be the dog.
Oh, very good.
You get to wear pants. Be lucky.
And you are at Almighty Stross.
Yeah.
On Twitter, on Twitch, mostly on Twitch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Twitter here and there. I mostly just like fan art.
And you stream Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time.
That's usually when I start. I know I say 7 to 8:30, but I haven't started at 7:30 in like 2 years. I really should stop saying the 7:30 part. It's been
so around then.
Yeah, usually somewhere around those 2 points. And hey, we're almost done with Nier Automata. And you're going to be on for the next one, which is Strong Bad's Cool Game for Attractive People.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Looking forward to it.
I am super excited for that because I haven't played that since high school.
Oh, it's going to be so good. Yeah, speaking of going back to the past.
Yeah. Which
this is one of the good things, though.
Yeah, we will talk about Homestar Runner a different day.
Yes.
Maybe next week if we don't decide to do Berserk. Who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see. We shall see.
We'll see. Anyway, thank you all for listening.
Night, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.